Cheyenne, and I'll be giving a presentation over my paper concerning the misappropriation of Native American culture. So as I already said, this paper was concerning the misappropriation of Native American culture, which was a result of the systemic proliferation of harmful stereotypes in popular media such as television shows, film, and literature. This is what has allowed those harmful stereotypes to continue even to current days, even though colonial times was hundreds of years ago. So two of the main types of Indian stereotypes I focused on are the savage and the Indian giver. As you can see in the picture of great big little panther who is Tiger Lily's father, he is the stereotypical savage. They gave him a very bright red complexion, as well to even push the boundaries. They gave him devil horns to make him seem almost evil and even more mean and stern and more savage-like and uncivilized. And as you can see in all three pictures, there is no real referencing of a true Native American nation. Either this is completely made up or it's a combination of all of several Native American nations, dress, headwear, and culture, and the entertainment industry just never took the time or care to differentiate that each nation has its own rich culture that was clearly not represented in entertainment industry, and there's still a clear lack of that in today. So this is stemming from a clear lack of diversity and knowledge in the entertainment industry from actors' perspectives, from writers' perspectives, from directors' perspectives. Most of these, if not all of these films, were neither created or influenced or took into consideration the actual perspective of citizens of a nation. They weren't referenced or brought in to authenticate the Native American image in these movies and films. As such, stereotypes are what were heavily relied upon, and Disney is a huge perpetrator of this through movies like Peter Pan, as you can see, in Pocahontas. In this film, older TV show, The Savage, as you can see, there are teepees in all three of these photos without really acknowledging that not all Native Americans use teepees, and if they do use teepees, it's for specific events. There is just that clear lacking of acknowledgement of specific events, cultures, and differentiations between Native American nations. And then continuing on, another major topic I discussed was the idea of playing Indian. Halloween is an annual event where people can dress up. Unfortunately, a lot of those times people decide to appropriate culture. Mexicans as like sombreros, or thugs, as well as African Americans as thugs or rappers, or as you can see by the picture in the top right corner, there's the sexualization of Native American women and children. This is very prevalent in her obvious outfit, where it's a mere top and skirt. This is completely not reflective of any Native American dress. This is not how Native American women and children dress for any normal wear or for special celebrations. It's once again just how social media or popular media has decided to portray Native American culture. And as I previously discussed, Disney does this hugely with Pocahontas, who is another classic such as Peter Pan that has been able to thrive throughout the generations and is a huge cause of this misrepresentation of Native Americans in popular media. Another example of playing Indian is going to be during a time of unrest, which was the 60s and 70s. This was a time of unrest where the youth got really involved in activism and things they believed in, anti-war, more freedom when it came to drug use, which is how they represented the Indian in that time era. It was this stereotype of the cool Indian who participated in playing in smoking weed and hanging out and just being an all over mellow individual, which necessarily isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, it's not truly reflective of Native American culture even during that time. There's also a time of where white America was trying to reconcile their mixed ancestry of colonizer and Native American, because there was a mixing of those two cultures, intermarriage. However, their way of going about that was merely to wear leather headbands and leather pants, as you can see in that picture. So there wasn't really a true effort in trying to understand how, or the connection to their Native American history. In fact, most people kind of just thought it was cool to assume that they had a grandparent who was Cherokee without even really understanding what a Cherokee or who a Cherokee was or what that actually meant. It was just kind of a tagline and a way to seem cool. So as I previously discussed, Pocahontas was a major topic of discussion in my paper, as the sexualization of Native American women and children is an obvious problem. So as you can see on the left, that is Disney's version of Pocahontas, who has an unproportional waist, a very skimpy sexualized dress, and on the right is an actual drawing from that time of when she married John Wolfe. Another major problem about this is she's depicted as a woman. In fact, when she met John Smith for the first time, she was about 9 or 10 years old, and when she even married John Wolfe later on in her life, she was only about 16. She died at about the age of 21. So that's a huge problem in the sense that in today's time and age, she would have been subjected to statutory rape, if not flat-out rape. In addition, Pocahontas 2 continues that false history where she is represented as a willful liaison between her people and the English, and she boards this ship willingly going to England. In reality, she was kidnapped and held for ransom and actually raped on a ship as she was taken to England, and her marriage to John Wolfe was just a form of alliance between her people and the English. So once again, a true tragedy that is completely misrepresented and ignored in Disney's version of Pocahontas. Another major topic I discuss in my paper is red face and minstrel shows. So there's a clear connection between the history of how African Americans and Native Americans have been treated in the history of America. Within the 1920s America, there was minstrel shows, which were a popular comedy show in which white actors and actresses donned exaggerated facial paint to represent African Americans. In this, the African American normally was illiterate or dopey and represented an uneducated figure to point and laugh at, rather than an actual developed character who had any true depth or story behind him. And I also think this is kind of treated the way Christopher Columbus and Manifest Destiny is treated in the school system, as in it skirts around the ugly truth. Minstrel is almost completely disregarded in especially elementary and middle school history classes. It's skipped over, as now it's kind of viewed as a source of shame of American history. And it's kind of the same thing, whereas Christopher Columbus either is completely ignored or embodies this hero, but completely ignores the fact that his discovery of America led to the almost genocide of our Native American populations. And in addition, the same thing, Manifest Destiny, was supposed to be a source of pride, something that kids could look up to, with the fact that we were able to span our American culture from the left to right coast, or east to west coast of America, when in fact this was just the stealing of Native American lands. This also it connects to the racial antipathy that arose because they were viewed as being in the way of the expansion of America, as holding us back. And this connects to red face in the sense that white actor or singers were misrepresenting how Native Americans sang and dressed. My example was Loretta Lynn for Your Squaw is on the Warpath. So as you can see, her dress, once again, is a sexualized version of how Native American women dress. She's wearing a short brown dress, and her hair's in pigtails with a feather headband, and she's clutching a tomahawk. None of this is representative at all of any Native American nation. And also, another huge problem is the diction she uses. Squaw is a serious insult to a Native American woman. In addition, I think the use of the word your is telling as well. It puts women, once again, in a position of inferiority to men, as in she derives her meaning as a wife rather than an individual herself. And then warpath plays into the idea that Native Americans are uncivilized, who like to attack innocent people and are constantly enraged and wanting to incite violence. And it's these type of stereotypes that have allowed the perpetration of harmful of racial antipathy and harmful ideas of the Native American culture throughout America. So in conclusion, as I previously stated, this misappropriation of Native American culture is due to the systemic proliferation of misrepresentation. And one way this worked to manipulate the public's opinion, how it was able to arouse racial antipathy during the Manifest Destiny or times of Western America and the Great Depression, where the cowboy is viewed as the hero and the savage Native American was viewed as the enemy who attacked the innocent. This also worked to keep Native American communities in an inferior status, so they were never able to branch out or truly grow and enter into the new world as members. They were always on the outskirts, viewed as uncivilized and unable to keep up with their white counterparts. However, there has been a recent wave of activism in which mainly the youth of Native American communities have reappropriated their stolen culture in the way of utilizing how the entertainment industry has stereotyped how they look and how they behave, and they have adopted those as a way of drawing attention, because on the outside, physically, they might be representing the white man's version of an Indian, but they're able to draw attention, and in the context of their rallies or performances, it gets down to the actual roots of like environmental causes, the sexualization of Native American women, the major rape culture of Native American women. That is a huge problem. So it's a way of them taking back what was stolen from them. And thank you for listening to my presentation.